Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we're going to do a really quick recipe that actually takes a lot of time because it has to sit overnight. We are making Mrs. Fitzgibbons's overnight Parritch or porridge or oatmeal, if you'd rather. So tonight we're going to do this part and it's going to just sit out overnight and we're going to finish it in the morning. But it's a really simple recipe. In here I have just some water and I'm going to bring that to a boil. Doesn't really say like what temperature, so I'm going pretty much high. As soon as it comes to a boil, we're done. While that's coming to a boil, we are using steel cut oats for this. There are several different brands, but I bought this John McCain. It's Irish. Whatever you can find is fine. You can also use rolled oats for this, but you have to alter the recipe. But she tells you how to alter the recipe if you use rolled oats for that. But we're going to go ahead and use steel cut oats because I like them. That is a boil. I'm going to stir in the measured oats, and I'm not going to measure this, but it's just a tiny bit of salt. And then I'm going to turn this off. We're going to put the lid on, and I'm going to just let this sit overnight, just like that. Not in the refrigerator, just like that. So we'll see you tomorrow. Our oatmeal has been sitting in here overnight and it has absorbed all of the water, but that's okay because we're going to add some milk. Should be whole milk. Mine is sort of fake whole milk, but that's fine, no problem. So we're going to add this and we're going to turn it up to medium heat right now to bring it up to a boil. We're going to have to be careful because milk and starch will boil over at this point, so I'll keep an eye on this. But we also have to add a little bit of butter. So I'm just going to estimate. Yes, there may be a few breadcrumbs on my butter, but I don't care. It's fine. So now we're just going to bring this up to a boil. Get it stirred up a little bit. I turned it up a little bit just to get it going a little faster. But once it boils, we're going to turn it down to a simmer and simmer it for 15 to 20 minutes. Keep an eye on it, stir it occasionally. You don't have to keep stirring it, but 15, 20 minutes, we'll have breakfast. It's just starting to come to a boil. So I'm going to babysit the heat, but I'm going to go ahead and start my timer just to see how long this takes. It's kind of up to you how much you want it cooked, how loose or how tender you want it. My oats have been cooking for 15 minutes after it came to a boil. So I'm going to give it a little taste. It's looking really thick, which is how I like it actually. If you'd like it thinner, you can always add more water or milk. Seems good to me. There's still a little chew, which is what these oats will do. They have a little more texture than the rolled oats, so they don't get quite as soft. I'm going to turn this off, and we have to add one more thing, which is a little bit of cinnamon. Pretty sure this is optional. You can flavor this however you'd like, but it's in the recipe as not optional, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Plus, we like cinnamon, so. And she does say to do it after it's done cooking. Now, you can flavor this however you'd like. For your serving, you can serve it with a little more milk if you like. Sometimes I like to add a little half and half on top of mine, or a little cream, but this has been cooked with a whole milk, so it's pretty creamy already. But when I get oatmeal that's only been cooked with water, I like to add half and half for cream. You can serve this sweet with honey or brown sugar. I've got some strawberries and some nuts to add to ours for a little bit of crunch and extra flavor. You can also serve this savory, which is not unheard of in Scotland. I don't know if it's very, very common, but I know that my dad would occasionally eat it with just butter and salt. So you can go whatever way you want with this. So we will show you what this looks like in our serving bowls and let you know what we think in just a minute. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make Mrs. Fitzgibbons' overnight Parritch from Outlander Kitchen, the very first Outlander Kitchen cookbook from Teresa Carle-Sanders. And this was a really easy recipe. It's a good way to make steel cut oats without it taking forever. Generally, they take longer to cook than rolled oats, although you could do this with rolled oats as well. I like my oatmeal creamy, and this recipe ended up with a nice creamy oats, so I was perfectly fine with that. If you forget to soak them overnight, however, you can just make them in a pressure cooker if you have one. You can make a very large batch. Would not add the milk until after. I would add some milk after they're cooked. But you can make a big batch in an Instant Pot and then just refrigerate or freeze single portions to have throughout the week. But this is a good way to do that if you can remember to do something the night before. It's very hearty. The steel cut oats are a little chewier than normal rolled oats. So if you don't like the really mushy texture of oats, you may prefer this. We added some toasted pecans. We added some strawberries. We had brown sugar or honey that you could add if you prefer. We like ours sweet. You can also go with salt and butter. And you can add butter to it no matter what. It's always good. So yeah, I think that I have not raised my children eating oatmeal, and so I think they liked it, but it may not have been their favorite. But I think that's a failing on my part for not actually raising my kids eating oatmeal. Hopefully that's something that they will grow to like more than they currently do. They did eat it and it was fine. Add enough sugar and anything is delicious, right? But you can use any fruit, sugar, whatever you like. Nuts for texture is also really a good idea if you don't like the mushy things. So if you've enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and come back and watch me make something else next week.